So, Mark, we had a customer recently, a current customer of ours that's dealing with some fabric enclosures in fabric, and they were using a hook and loop type closure in a application where the hook and loop was giving up over time and causing the piece of clothing to have to be thrown out. And we recently came up with helped them come up with a magnetic solution for that. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, it was a magnetic closure that involved application with high temperature, and we had to also help come up with a total solution that would allow them to get their testing approved through regulatory requirements, in addition to be able to solve the functional requirements and the assembly requirements. When magnets come in and they're magnetized, they're often very difficult to handle, and so you have to work with the customer to make sure that you can determine if it's something they need to magnetize after assembly or magnetize. We can supply a magnetized product, and really it depends on the design and the application and the volume, but we can handle both methods in terms of what might be appropriate for the application.
Now, I know one thing that you touched on briefly there was this application for clothing. It tended to be a higher temperature application, and that greatly limits what type of magnet you want to use, because different magnets have different properties depending upon the temperature exposure. Some magnets, they tend to lose their attractive force once they're exposed to a higher temperature. So that's something that you need to have in consideration when you're choosing your magnet material.
Yeah, you select the grade it would be appropriate for that environment, as environmental conditions.
Right. And then additionally, you mentioned the handling, because these magnets, whenever they come in, they are very powerful. And if they are not already stuck together, if that's not the way that you want them shipped, you have to take care when handling them, because they can snap together and they can actually injure you, because these magnets are that powerful. But that is something that we work around with our customers, ensure that the method of delivery fits their needs and fits, kind of their application and the way that they're going to assemble it once, they get it into their factory.
Yeah, and it's helpful to provide some prototypes. That way the customer has an actual product they can put into manufacturing to see what's going to occur, what problems might arise, and then we can go back and improve the final design to eliminate those problems, or improve that through the use of prototyping.
Yeah, we can absolutely tweak the design. Maybe they want 10, they think they want 10 of them in a strip or something, and they find out that 10 is too many, and they only want 3 instead, because it makes it easier to handle for them.
Yep, and the use of magnetic steel in conjunction with the magnets, again, being able to minimize the amount of magnet required to solve the problem, and where target plates or steel can be used to reduce the amount of magnet material needed.
That's right, because on this particular case, if I remember correctly, there's actually a steel backing plate on the magnet that helps focus the magnetic energy in a certain direction.
Correct.
Yeah. So yeah, the outcome of this would be that this customer was able to replace the hook and loop closure on a very expensive piece of heat resistant clothing that runs probably about $15,000, and instead of having to throw that entire piece of clothing out because the hook and loop got clogged up and wasn't sticking to itself anymore, now they're able to have a magnetic closure that's going to hold up over time and be able to withstand the heat and the environment that this clothing is in, and give them many more years of service.
Yeah, and I think making sure the customer gets good understanding of the advantages and kind of get market acceptance on the product really kind of helps. Sometimes that takes a little time.
Yeah, I think that as this product gains more traction in the public, I think people will start looking for maybe some alternative uses of magnets. Not just in motors or electronic components or sensors or things like that, but you can actually use them in conjunction with fabrics. You can use them in conjunction with clothing and hanging of signs and things that maybe you wouldn't consider normally. So yeah.
And I think one thing that we're able to do is work with our customer when they start manufacturing and they have issues. We can go in, see what the problems are, and then have that dialogue back with manufacturing to kind of explain the issues and get feedback more from the manufacturing side on how those problems can be reduced or solved. And it allows that dialogue between manufacturing and production in the U.S. to be able to be a little tighter and a little quicker.
Yeah, I honestly I think that's if you look at TyTek as a solutions provider, that's just the magnetic side of it is just another tool that we have in our toolbox that a lot of U.S. based companies don't necessarily have because they don't have the experience with it, they don't have the expertise in it, and whereas somebody might just look and say, well, you're just going to have to use a rivet there, or you're just going to have to use, some kind of a semi-permanent fastener there. Instead, we can look at it and we have that extra set of tools in the form of magnetic components where we can say, no, you can design around that with magnetics, and you can have something that will give you everything you want, and still, be a permanent solution that's not going to, diminish its effectiveness over time.